Okay, I haven't worked on this one for a bit, so I figured going ahead and work on it a bit more. This is Survival or Another World with My Mistress, Volume 1. Chapter 2. The sudden beginning of my survival life, Day 3. I suddenly felt like I was floating, no, like I was falling. I braced myself for impact as I snapped awake. Ah! I didn't know what I hit, but my body hurt and it knocked the wind out of me. I rolled over instinctively and put my hand down to try to stand up. Oof. I immediately felt a sharp pain in my hand. Ow, that hurt. That really hurt. What's going on? I looked up but there wasn't much light. All I saw was the rapidly approaching outline of a foot. Ooh. I felt faint from the shock of the kick as it connected, barely present for the pain. I had never been attacked like this before. I'd only ever gotten into scuffles that led to an exchange of blows as a kid, like a normal person. I'll die if I don't fight back, and I do not want to die. The moment those words popped into my head, a voice came and sent chills down my spine. Resist, and I'll kill you. Something heavy pressed down on my head. The owner of the voice was probably stepping on me. What's a human doing in a place like this? From what I could tell, it was a woman's voice. I didn't know how to answer her. Maybe I could just tell her I had gotten lost? Why are you silent? Answer me. I don't know. I just got lost. It was hard to speak with the copious nosebleed I just developed. Oh, life spirit. A pale green light lit up the gloom and my body didn't hurt so much anymore. Even the stab wound in my hand stopped bleeding. I could still feel some bumps and bruises, but I certainly felt better than before. Was this some kind of magic? Now you should be well enough to speak. Talk. Speak. Her voice was cold as she kept her foot firmly planted on me. Wait, her voice? We could communicate? I don't really know what happened myself. All I know is that I was suddenly standing at the edge of the wasteland in the forest, and the only things I had with me were my clothes. I have no idea where I am. I pushed my way through the forest to survive, and I looked for food and water. That's it. I burned green wood since I was hoping someone might find me. In other words, I'm lost and in distress. I ignored my doubt that she'd be able to understand me and just spit it all out. As I spoke, I frantically tried to come up with the way out of my current situation. If I could take her by surprise for just a second, but maybe that was beyond all hope. Not a smart idea, dude. She could easily kill you. She seemed like a type who was used to scuffles, battles probably. She could use something like magic, and she had that sharp weapon she stabbed my hand with. If she wanted to kill me, I have no doubt that she would have in the first place. I didn't need to prepare myself for the worst quite yet. Do you really think I'd believe something so ludicrous? The woman demanded. It's the truth. Look, I don't believe me if you don't want to. You're free to just go on believing otherwise, what you want to believe, averting your gaze from the truth, plugging your ears, and attacking me nonsensically. I don't like the smooth way your tongue waggles. Oh, look at that, we're just two peas in the pod here. I don't much care for how barbaric and violent you are. Ugh. With a creaking sound, she increased the pressure on my head. She's gonna break my skull. She's gonna break my skull. She's gonna break my skull. My brains are gonna come spilling out, but I'll put on a brave front. I really don't like this woman. Even if she overpowers me physically, she'll never break me mentally. Oh, is this one of the situations where you shout, I'd rather you just kill me now then? She's planning to assault me, isn't she? Like in those doujinshi I used to read? I'm not even into dubcon, let alone mancon, or non-con. Did a human of all things, just call me violent and barbaric? The woman said, I have no idea what you even are, but you must be pretty narrow-minded if you think all of us humans are the same. Then again, I don't know how violent and barbaric the humans of this world are, but you shouldn't just assume I have anything to do with them. I only just came here the day before yesterday. I'd barely call humans gentle, intellectual creatures, but how am I supposed to know what this woman's relationship with humans from this world has been like? That set aside, it sounds like this woman currently stepping on my head isn't human, especially from the way she says human, like she found a bug in her mouth. Is she an elf or some kind of beast folk or what? Are the humans of this world so bad they've earned that impression? If so, they must not have made many technological and cultural advancements yet. Probably not. After a moment of silence, her foot squarely affixed in my head, the woman said, Who the hell are you? I considered her intentions again for a moment before answering. My name is Shibata Kosuke. Family name Shibata, given name Kosuke. I'm 24 years old, though my age might be calculated differently. I don't know how many days make up a year in your calendar. Anyway, back in my world, I've been considered an adult for 4 years. I think the world I came from is far away from here. It doesn't have a huge planet in the sky. Also, the moon is much smaller. Have you ever heard the word Adol? Adol? What's that? Someone's name? The only Adol I know of is a red-headed adventurer from a famous action RPG. What if I told you that a being called a doll was the one who put you in this situation? Did he seriously? The hell, a doll, you suck! I agree. Yeah, because if you get stuck in this kind of situation, of course you'd say whoever brought you here sucks. By the by, how long do you plan to keep your foot there? I wonder, can you cash the checks your mouth is writing, talking about the architect of your fate, so? The woman chuckled for a moment in amusement before removing her noble foot from my head. I shook my head and brushed the dirt from my cheeks and hair before looking up at my assailant. Wow, you're actually a beautiful dark elf. And she kicked me right in the face for that comment. Why? It's not like you made any lewd comments. He just called you beautiful. This is what you get when you call me a dark elf, just because of the color of my skin, and don't you forget it. I prefer the lecture to getting kicked, you barbarian. She must have been holding back or something because my nose wasn't bleeding, but that kick was strong enough that I could see stars when I closed my eyes. If I get a brain hemorrhage, I'm gonna come haunt you as a ghost, you son of a bitch. Not she's anyone's son. I rubbed my nose as I stood up and gave the woman another look. She was pretty alright, like the level of beautiful that you'd only ever see on TV. She had flawless dark brown skin with light-colored hair. It wasn't white, maybe closer to silver. It shone even in the dim light. She was wearing a skin-tight leather bodysuit of sorts, and her chest looks like it was ready to burst out. She was incredibly blessed. I'm talking about the sort of proportions that prompt table-banging, wolf-howling, and open-mouth drooling. Where do you think you're looking, she asked. Iraq? What about it? Not one to mince words, are you? I like it. She smirked. I mean, you're honest. She was pretty alright, but I didn't like the way she was grinning and looking at me. Those were the eyes of a gal with a body count, and there was no mirth behind that smile, however much I might have wished there was. So, there's something I'd like to say, I ventured. Oh, go on then. I'm in a lot of pain right now and I have no medical supplies. If I get hurt, I probably just gotta keel over, so I want you to help me with that spell thing you did before. You're the one who attacked me out of the blue or whatever, so I can ask at least that much from you, right? I mean, yeah, you were just sleeping in the tree, and then all of a sudden she attacks you out of nowhere. That thought has some merit to it, but I still don't believe that you're not a minion of the Holy Kingdom yet. Oh, is that how it is? We should keep getting to know each other then. I tamped down my pain and collected my hammock that was hanging in the tree. The rope had been cruelly cut off at one side, but after I put it into my inventory, it looked like I could fix it using some of my materials. I started the mending process and looked back at the woman to find her watching me curiously. Crap, I probably shouldn't have shown my cards like this. That was an interesting trick you just did. How did you make it disappear, she asked me. Do I have to tell you? If you desire to prove your innocence. Like I'd be completely honest with you, let's face it, we don't trust each other. There was no doubt about it, this woman was dangerous. She was probably only talking to me like this because she knew she could kill me at a moment's notice. She had some gigantic knife-like thing hanging on her waist, and I still didn't know what other magic nonsense she might have tucked away. I wouldn't have been surprised if she had been trained for battle. Never mind that her armor, however impractically form-fitting it may have been, looked like it offered a whole lot more defense than my sweatshirt and sweatpants. Ow! So are we going to make with the carefully censored disclosure of personal details, or nah? I asked as I sat cross-legged on the ground. Very well. She leaned against a nearby tree and eyed me curiously. At least she's willing to talk. Maybe she's more understanding than I thought. The conversation leaped from topic to topic, including the names of our worlds, geography, world affairs, religion, myths, the planet we could see, culture, food, clothes, military affairs, politics. I learned that the name of this world, or land, or the planet itself was Lys. The huge planet in the sky was called Omical. The moon was Lanical, and the sun was called Cycle. Cycle. I don't know why I thought that was funny. We were currently on the edge of the woodlands known as the Black Forest, which was located on the southern tip of a continent called Pence. It turned out that outside the forest was a vast wilderness known as the Great Amit Badlands, which took about 10 days to cross on foot. If I had gone out to the Badlands instead of the forest, I'd have died like a dog for sure. Moreover, there were all kinds of insectile monsters lurking underground out there, and it was difficult even for seasoned travelers to travel alone. As for the situation in the world at large, the people of this continent were currently at war. The human supremacist Holy Kingdom and the Empire, which was comprised of many different nations, filled with different races, were fighting for sovereignty over the fertile lands of Central Pence. Therefore, oppressions toward non-humans had escalated in the Holy Kingdom, resulting in frequent uprisings and revolts all over. The Empire had retaliated by alienating the provinces close to the Holy Kingdom's border, prompting a large-scale slave uprising. Both countries had their own domestic troubles that were unattended as the effort continued. Troubled times had come to the world. Of course. Freaking holy. The human supremacists. Of course there's going to be some in any world. This black forest here in southern Pence stood between the great Badlands and the Holy Kingdom's domain. Elves had always lived in this forest, and refugees from other races unable to withstand the Holy Kingdom's oppression had been crossing the great Badlands and gradually gathering here. The Holy Kingdom had noticed the refugees' movements, so the locals and disposed alike were concerned that the Holy Kingdom would be sending soldiers their way before long. Would they really bother doing that? There isn't much value in passing through these Badlands just to attack this forest, I said. We elves are valuable merchandise among humans. Beautiful slaves who don't age are quite desirable to humans all on their own, but then you have to consider the asset of an elven womb, of course. Of course that would come up. Unions between a human and an elf always produce a child with deep magical powers. Deep by human standards, at least. Human nobles would mate with other races so that they could maintain bloodlines that possess stronger magic than the peasantry. That reason sounds suspect to me, but I can very well understand why humans would desire elves for slaves. For now, I believe that you actually aren't a human from this world, the woman said. Gee, great, thanks. Now heal me. Well, let me just... Okay. The woman went ahead and healed my wound. My whole body felt nice and warm, like I had just gotten into a hot spring. This feels good. The life spirit seems to like you a lot, she mused. It does. I can't really tell one way or the other. There was a green sphere of light flying around me. Is this what she means by the life spirit? Maybe I'm going to awaken my own innate magical powers too? That would be cool. Oh man, maybe I could be a wizard or something. One who uses spirit magic. But I don't sense any magic within you at all. You've got no talent for it, the woman told me. So much for that idea. Damn it, don't get my hopes up like that. Well, let's get going, she said. Go where? To my village. If you'd prefer to be put down by another elf or a beast folk, you're more than welcome to stay here. Please allow me to accompany you, ma'am, I said immediately. I wasn't a fan of the idea of being murdered in my sleep. Oh boy, here we go. Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Burn him! Let him burn! Death to humans! Kill him! Death! Everyone's favorite idol, Kosuke here. Having arrived at this woman's destination, I found myself basking in the supportive cheers of my fans. In other words, I was terrified. This was my first time being faced with such blatant malice. They were all calling for my head with a bloodthirsty glint in their eyes. My legs trembled in fear. I wouldn't be surprised if I wet myself. In fact, it was probably just a matter of time before I really did. I wouldn't blame you at all. I spotted a man with animal ears in the crowd, his body covered in scars. Elsewhere, a woman with wings where her hands should be. Wings where her hands should be? Wonder what she is. I'm curious now. A person whose gender I couldn't tell with a lizard face. A woman with the lower body of half of a serpent. Oh, Lamia. Oh, nice. They were all human-like, yet none not human at all. No one had escalated from verbal abuse to throwing stones yet, but I had a feeling that it was also merely a matter of time. My heart pounded, my field of vision narrowed, my throat was dry. What the hell did I do to deserve all this? I'd followed the woman to the village just as she had invited me to. She had exchanged a few words with the male elf standing guard at the entrance, and then left me with him while she went on ahead. The man immediately dragged me into the village and kicked me down in the center of the village square, of course. The way the guard had looked at me in that moment flashed in my mind. That was not the look of someone who saw me as a human being. Though that went without saying, really. He was an elf after all. I mean, essentially they don't see you as... They see you as essentially an enemy. My thoughts were all a jumble. Am I going to be beaten to death by this mob? What did I do to deserve this? Damn it, I shouldn't have followed her. People with wooden sticks and stones had finally started showing up. If I'm going to die, I thought, I don't want to suffer. Just let it be over in an instant. It seemed far more likely that the crowd wouldn't be so considerate. These folks would want to drag things out. If death was all that awaited me, then maybe I was obliged to fight back. I had made a reasonable number of clay brick blocks for building with. Maybe I could place them all over to confuse the mob, and maybe they wouldn't be able to get through it if I fenced myself off. But now I was pissed. Why is this happening to me? I'm being blamed for something I had nothing to do with, and I refuse to be beaten to death. Bring it on! What do you think you're doing? There came a roaring wind less a gust and more of a shockwave. It was enough to blow me and the people surrounding me back. I rolled until something stepped on my back. I recognized the impression of that noble foot. I heard the voice of the woman who had just led me here. I found this in the woods. Who gave any of you permission to hurt it? It? Really? Dude? Ow, ow, ow! I groaned as she dug her sturdy leather boot into my back. I wanted to tell her to be a bit gentler with me, but I was having a hard time forming a coherent syllables. This is my possession, and I'm the only one allowed to torment it. Got it? The mom was silent at the woman's declaration. She left no room for discussion. I felt like I had caught a sympathetic glance or two from some people. Wait a minute. Weren't you all about to kill me? Why are you all looking at me that way now? Is being with her worse than death? Hey, answer me! Nate's such a limp dick. I can't believe he used such a underhanded trick. She was probably talking about the guard who dragged me here. There seemed to be some sort of beef between the two. Well, whatever. I showed up before anything bad happened to you. Now get up. We're leaving. She kicked me again. Ow! That really hurt. Dude, you don't have to be violent with him. Hell, I don't deserve this kind of treatment, I groaned. Oh, and put this on. She held out a leather collar. I beg your pardon? She wants me to wear this? Is this what I think it's supposed to be? Like a slave collar or something? I mean, dude, if it means you're protected from other people because you're working with her or she's essentially your master at this point, I would take that considering what the alternative is. Considering what these people were about to do to you, I think this is probably a better alternative. If you don't put it on, you'll wind up in the same situation I just saved you from. Or do you want to see if I'll show up on cue next time? I drum on my cuss. Damn you. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs, or so the saying goes. I could just shove the stupid thing into my inventory. It's not so bad, right? I should just put the dumb thing on. It's just a collar. I prayed it wasn't cursed. I hope it wasn't. But I was a bit excited about the prospect of becoming such a hot elf slave. Or maybe I'm not. It's not like I'm a masochist or anything. I swear, it's the truth, I tell you. It suits you, she said. Don't be so happy about it. Hey, you're not going to chain me up or say anything, are you? Pet dogs require a collar and leash, don't they? I need to make sure you stay by my side when we go on walks. I'll get you back for this. And so the elf woman put a leash on me, and we walked from one side of the village to the other. On the bright side, I now knew the village's whole layout. It was divided into roughly 5 sections. The furthest out was an area where they were building some kind of sturdy-looking edifice, and inside that was the area where the non-elvish population had set up. Beyond that was a square that acted like a neutral zone of sorts. Past that were these strange magical gardens tended to by the elves. After that field was a protective wall woven from living trees, and on the inside of that were where the elves had used their workshops and residential areas. The woman had mentioned that the non-elves were refugees who had come here to escape the war, I could tell. The architectural style of their homes wasn't uniform at all. Frankly speaking, all the buildings looked pretty shabby. What surprised me most during my tour was the magical gardens. They had layers, like a multi-story parking garage. They felt like a hydroponic facility, but filled with magical light. I had never seen or heard of a hydroponic operation on this scale before. In a sense, the elves here might have put Japan to shame agriculturally. Potentially. Because, I mean, elves are normally those that stay in the wood, in the forest and everything, so of course they'd probably be a bit more, in tune with nature, I should say. I couldn't see inside the workshops, so I had no idea what those were like. Same for the homes of the elves. I had no idea what was supposed to be coming together in the new development at the far edge of the village, but the buildings looked solid enough. Behold, my home, the woman announced. Oh. It was a splendid elven-style home. After seeing the rest of the village, I felt I could assertively say that her home was much nicer than the others. It was a log house that felt alive, so to speak. Like living trees had been coaxed to twine and bind together, similar to the village's inner walls. And by splendid, I meant the place was huge. She showed me in, and a smell hit me the second I stepped inside. It was gentle and refreshing in some senses. I felt inclined to call it the aroma of the forest. I took a deep breath and felt life seep back into my body. Is that your thing, taking in a deep breath the second you enter a woman's home, she asked. Get your mind out of the gutter. There's a nice smell in here, okay? Like some kind of incense or something. I haven't used anything like that, though. I mean, hello, it smells nice. Take a compliment. The chain jingled as she pulled me in. The woman brought me into what seemed like a living room. She had a lot of... What? Hold on. Rattan looking furniture. She released the chain and walked toward the back, so I sat down on the couch. I had wonder how long I'd have to wear this collar and chain. That doesn't come off. Oh, but you could take the chain off when you're at home, she told me. Thank you, mistress. Satisfied. I do wish she'd be a bit cuter. I took off the chain and put it into my inventory. I wondered if my crafting recipes had increased by adding it in, so I was messing with the crafting menu when the woman came back. She was holding 2 steaming wooden cups. Don't ask a man to be cute, I retorted. But obviously it'd be better to be cute than not. It would please your mistress. Like I care about that, but I'll give it some thought. Good. Still, you're less perturbed than I thought you'd be. Any idiot can tell when you make it that obvious. It was obvious what her intentions were by putting a collar on me and then dragging me around the village by a chain leash. She was showing everyone that I was her possession, and if they laid a finger on me, she'd crush them. It was impossible for me to live in this village as an ordinary citizen, since the elves and... The elves and refugees all saw humans as their enemy. If I tried living here without a guardian of some kind, I'd probably go missing by the next morning. They'd kill me and bury my body in the middle of the night, or leave me for the monsters. And no one would care that I was gone. It wouldn't even cause a commotion. If someone noticed I was missing, they'd probably be like, oh yeah, that guy used to live here. He must have left since he didn't like living here. And that would be that. Then what if I just went and lived by myself elsewhere? That would never work. I'd probably run into one of the villagers in the forest eventually, and it was highly likely that they would just try to kill me on sight. If I won, then the village would go searching for them. Once the body was found, I doubted a very bright future awaited me. Survival on my own was hard enough as it was. I would surely die a dog's death before long. Then would it be better to leave the forest? The answer was quite obvious, no. It'd be impossible for me to survive alone out there in the Badlands. I didn't have nearly enough food, water, equipment, technology, or information to do it. I'd wind up either collapsing and dying or being eaten by monsters. From that perspective, my current situation was actually a stroke of incredible luck, if not divine favor. If she weren't so interested in me, it was very likely that this woman would have ended me by now. It was a miracle that she found me. It was a miracle that she decided to hear me out. It was a miracle that she was influential in this village. It was a miracle that she came running to my rescue before I was killed. That all of this coincided was a miracle of its own. Something on your mind, the woman asked me? Well, yeah, I guess. It feels like a miracle that I met you and that I'm grateful for it. Oh, so you can say cute things, but you might not feel that way for long, you know. That's future me's problem. That was the truth. I had no idea what this woman's aim was, but I was still alive even though she had plenty of chances to kill me. She must have wanted me for some reason or another. It was still possible that she'd eventually decide to abandon me, so I needed to prepare myself as best I could so that I could keep on living no matter what the future held. I'd appreciate if you'd stop insinuating things already. Let's just keep things simple, I told her. True, especially since we'll be living together from now on. Where do we start? How about with your name? I still don't know it yet. Upon hearing that, the woman shot me a look of amazement before she seized up with laughter. So she can do more than glare. She'd been wearing such a menacing look on her face this whole time that it took me by surprise. Wow, you're totally right. I'm sorry about that. Pretty much everyone around here knows my name. I completely forgot that introducing herself was a thing. She laughed so hard that she had tears in her eyes. She looked so pretty that it actually left me at a loss for words. Let's see how do I say this. I'm Silphil. Silphil? I'm one of the protectors of the Black Forest. The humans apparently like to call me the Witch of the Black Forest. Silphil. That's a pretty name. It wasn't just sweet-talking. The name had a pure and fragile maiden ring to it. Admittedly, a far cry from Killer Elf with a bangin' bod. What's with that look on your face, she asked. To tell the truth, that name's got such a wholesome, virginal ring to it. I mean, yeah. It kind of does sound like a name you would give like a helpless maiden, elf maiden in a story, essentially. He's kind of right. That would have described me once. While I am still a maiden, I wouldn't necessarily call myself wholesome anymore. What's that look for? You want to find out whether it's true? I'd say I'd love to, but I'm afraid of what would happen if I did, so I won't. I had a feeling she'd snap my neck if I pushed my luck. Ah, how boring. So what should I call you? Please call me Kosuke. Is it okay if I call you Sylphie, or should I address you as Mistress? You can call me Sylphie when we're alone, but it'd be better if you call me Mistress when we're out in public. Makes sense. I'll make sure to call you Mistress in general then. Sylvie must have made a strange face at how easily I agreed to it. What's with you? Do you not have any pride or something? Of course I have pride. It really sucked how we met. But I knew I was going to die sooner or later, and you saved me from that fate. I may not know your real intentions, but that doesn't change the fact that you've rescued me. I'm just carefully considering where you rank here, being my protector and all. Sylvie paused for a moment before she smiled and said, I see, that's admirable. Hey, stop that. You're just trying to get me off my guard with that kind of look, aren't you? I haven't had a woman in my life recently, and on top of that, I've been through quite a lot with all this. Trying to survive out there on my own business. Give me some consideration here. So, are you going to tell me why you're protecting me, I asked? No reason, really. If I had to say, it's because I find you curious. Yeah, right. I know it's wholly unexpected, but it's the truth. I'm just interested in who you really are, the situation you're in, your ability, and your knowledge. I just had this feeling like I couldn't leave you alone. I see. So does this kind of thing just happen on occasion here? People showing up from another world like me? Oh, why would you think that? Sophie smirked as she cocked an eyebrow. Yep, that's more the Sophie I'm used to. Because we tell tales like that for entertainment in my world. They're all just fantasy, though. Oh, but there are some legends with similar premises. In a way, the story of Urashima Taro was a story of someone traveling to another world. Based on how you looked at it, the stories of Momotaro and Kintaro were stories of people who had been reborn in Japan from another world. And then there were stories of people who had been spirited away to another world. Like Spirited Away, yeah, that's another one. I see. As it turns out, I have heard similar tales myself in the Holy Kingdom. They say that Adol, the king of the gods, has sent disciples from the world of gods. They have similar tales in the Empire as well. We elves have legends of the rare people who wound up lost here after traveling through the spirit world. Such people are said to appear at the border of the forest. Oh, is that so? I happened to be standing at the border of the forest when I came to this world. What did they say about those lost people? That they appear during a time when the people of the forest are in danger, and that they will bring those people to victory. Well, I can't be so sure that you actually possess that kind of power. Yeah, please don't put your hopes in me. I was just a regular guy who liked games. I was no soldier, scholar, or politician. But you do have some kind of strange power, do you not? I'd be very happy if you told me about it. Well, it is my lifeline, you know. I put on airs as I frantically thought this over. Do I tell her everything or just the bare minimum? I don't have the option to tell her nothing. Now's the time to show her my worth. Plus, I might lose her protection if I don't cooperate here. Then I have no means of survival. I glanced over at her. Sophie was grinning ear to ear. Damn this woman and her teasing. Give me some time to think about it a bit more before I tell you everything, I said. You can't do as I say? Or are you returning a favor with spite? No, I'm grateful to you and I do feel like I owe you, but I still don't know much about you or how you think or your intentions. My power and what I know might be very dangerous depending on how it's used. Besides, I don't know how much I should meddle with this world considering I came from elsewhere. With all of this in mind, I couldn't possibly just trust you completely. Again with the smooth tongue wagging, it's too bad I can't just shut you up. I wouldn't mind at all if you wanted to shut me up with your lips. That's a good idea. What? We should experiment later. Sophie grinned bewitchingly. I swallowed involuntarily. I couldn't help it. She was totally my type. There is some truth to your words. It's good that you're basically sensible, but surely you can tell me something about it, Sophie insisted. Yeah, sure. Let me show you what my ability is. I took the chain, the stone spear, the stone axe, the hammock, and some spare bits and bobs from my inventory and showed them to her. I have something called an inventory. It's like I got my own private storehouse. I could put weapons, materials, food, water, and even bulky and heavy stuff in there too. I still haven't tested its size and weight limitations though. At any rate, it's a power I gained when I arrived in this world. I've only been using it for about 3 days now. That does sound handy. There was a dangerous glint in Sophie's eyes. Stop looking at me like that or you'll spoil your beauty, I thought, as Sophie took the stone spear from me. The spear is crude, but it's plenty sharp enough to kill an animal. Did you make this? Sophie asked me. I hesitated. Yeah, I did. Uh-oh. Oh, did you make this stone axe too then? That all must have been pretty hard to make. Uh-oh, she's gonna figure out you're gonna have to tell her how you made it. I hesitated again. Yeah? When we were first talking about life in the world I came from, I talked a bit about the useful tools we had easy access to and how I'd lived in a safe and tranquil environment. Could a man who had lived that kind of life make such a fine stone spear in 3 days without any tools, using only the lumber and stones he has scavenged? I didn't even have to think about it. The answer was no. I'll stop my investigating there. You should be a bit more cautious, Sophie said. Thank you, I said stiffly. How careless. She saw right through me. I should have shown her the stones and grass instead. I'm such an idiot. I don't know how much she's figured out, but she must have pegged that I've got some kind of ability to make these things effortlessly. I can tell that you're going to be a great beast of burden. That alone makes you plenty useful to me. It's quite troublesome having to carry home large prey when I go hunting, you see. Oh, wild game? I am not sure how much I hope I can be there. What's that supposed to mean? Well, I killed one of those things that are part wolf, part lizard, Lizaf? I didn't put it as is into my inventory, so I don't know if I can put animal carcasses in there yet or not. My inventory ability has this feature while I'm able to harvest parts of the animals. I get meat, bones, and pelts from the Lizaf, and once I stored those in my inventory, it disappeared. The only thing left was a puddle of blood. So that's what that was. Sophie had seen the mess I had left behind. Maybe that was what led her to me? It wasn't too surprising. I was just an amateur trying to recover my tracks. There was no fooling a professional like her. How much did you harvest from it? Show me, she demanded. I don't mind, but I can't just drop meat everywhere, and they'll go bad if I just hold them all in my bare hands. That makes sense. Hold on a moment. I watched Sophie go get a plate or something to put the meat on. As it turned out, I had a big wooden plate I had made in my inventory, but I wasn't about to show her too much of my hand, even if it kind of felt too late for that. Put them on this. Will do. I started putting the Lizaf meat on the big wooden plate she brought out. I estimated it was about 4 kilograms worth of meat. Is this all of it? I ate some of it already, but that's all that's left. And here's all the bones and pelts I got. I didn't tell her that I had used a bone, a pelt, and its tendons to make a composite bow. That was my trump card after all. So you didn't get any of its organs. I suppose the amount of meat kind of makes up for it. What part of the body was this from? No clue. All I know is that it's Lizaf meat. In fact, I had ignored that part. When harvesting its body parts, I grabbed the meat and put it into my inventory as 500-gram lumps of meat. I had eaten 2 of those, so I got about 5 kilograms worth of meat from the lizard, or Lizaf. However, each piece of meat looks practically the same. Had it been automatically restructured? The way it looked kind of reminded me of sirloin. Well, these certainly look easy to eat, so there's that. Shall we try some today? Sophie asked. Sure, why not? How many should we use? 2 should be more than enough. By the way, were these all the bones and pelts you got? Clearly she knew this was too little for one Lizaf. She was a sharp one. I used some of them, I admitted, but I want to keep what I use them for a secret. Very well then, just so you know, we're going hunting tomorrow. Aye, ma'am. By the way, are you hungry? I sure am. We had walked here without any breakfast. I didn't know what time it was, and it wasn't like I could take my smartphone out in front of her to check. But I estimated it was around noon. The tea had quenched my thirst, but it didn't do anything for my empty stomach. Then let's have something to eat. Here, have at it then, Sophie said casually as she sat down on what looked like a ratten's couch. I saw that coming. I was her pitiful slave, after all. Obviously, no mistress would ever cook for her slave. Mistress, would you disdain to instruct your pitiful slave in the ways to use your cookware and seasonings? If I must, I won't tell you again, though. Despite her sigh, my kind and noble mistress stood up from the couch. Thank you. We stood in the kitchen as she taught me about this world's seasonings. I recognized salt, but I didn't really know about the others. She was pretty flush with the stuff, so she let me taste some of them. I recognized the ones that tasted like pepper, paprika, mustard, cinnamon, garlic, and ginger. I didn't know what the others might be. She didn't have sugar, but she had something like honey. It was sweet and syrupy, but it didn't taste quite like anything a bee made. Nectar, maybe? Also, she didn't have condiments like soy sauce and miso. I wasn't too surprised about that. What do you folks eat as your staple food, I asked. Well, we make by kneading and baking that. Sophie said as she pointed at something like a big tote bag. She told me to open it up and look inside. There was some kind of powder in there, probably something like flour. Well, I'll see what I can whip up. I was about slicing up the Lizaf meat, sprinkling salt on it, and mixing it with the honey. Since it was like chicken meat, I had a feeling it would do well with a salty, sweet kind of seasoning. I minced a single garlic clove and rubbed that into the meat as well. I let the meat to marinate for a bit and surveyed what we had for vegetables. Sophie had all kinds, but I didn't know how to eat a lot of them. There were root vegetables, leafy greens, something that looked like cabbage, and ones that looked like fruit. I felt a little spoiled for choice. Which are the crunchy ones that you could eat raw, I asked. That would be that round one, that's a cabbage. And that thick black one, that's daikon. Sophie pointed at the bright red cabbage-looking vegetables and the black radish-looking ones respectfully. Okay then, I'll just assume this is a red-colored cabbage. I used a knife I found in the kitchen to slice the so-called cabbage in two. I took out the core, sliced off a tiny bit, and tasted it. Yep, this is definitely cabbage, but red. She had purple onions, so I gave those a taste as well. Yep, it's a regular red onion, but maybe a bit on the salty side. And purple all the way through. Guess I'll use this too. I went ahead and shredded the onion and the cabbage. I would try the daikon another day. Now for the $1,000,000 question. What is this stuff? It's definitely some kind of flour. I didn't know if it was wheat flour or cornmeal or whatever it was. It probably solidified when kneaded with water and cooked. I tried kneading it with a bit of water from a water jug. It's not very sticky. Well, whatever. I glanced over at Sophie to find she was watching me with a smirk on her face for some reason. She was drinking something straight from a porcelain bottle. Don't tell me she's got some kind of alcohol. Oh, to be in my mistress's place. I'm warning you, I've never worked with any of these ingredients before. Don't get angry if I make something that tastes terrible. That's a problem for future you. Or future us, she kept grinning. Oh, she's not wrong. Well, at least you'll know for the future. With the variety of vegetables and seasonings she had, I was sure she knew how to cook, but she showed no signs of helping. Fine then, I don't care how this turns out. Sophie lit the fire for the cooking stove for me, but it was really hard to adjust the heat on this thing. I had a feeling I'd get a roaring blaze if I threw too much firewood in, so I tried to be very careful. First I tried dropping a bit of the flour I had thinned out in the water on a heated frying pan. Yep, this seems like wheat flour. That's probably what it is. I dropped a bit more in, and the thin batter cooked about how I guessed it would. Don't you think you've been sneaking a few too many bites? I told you I have no idea what any of these taste like, I cooked. The marinated meat as I responded to her heckling. I had diced the meat and cooked it through. I tasted it and threw in a bit more salt. It was pretty underwhelming flavor-wise, but it was probably pretty good for my first time. I added a bit of water and some seasoning in the pan to make something like a sauce, and then plated up the food. Next, I cooked the batter made from the flour, and made a sort of rudimentary flatbread. I made them over and over. I wound up with 6 of them and piled them onto a big plate. I put the plates of the chopped vegetables, thin bread, and meat on the table. And how do you eat this? Sophie asked. Like this. I put some of the meat, vegetables, and a little bit of the so-called sauce onto the thin flatbread, rolled it up, and held it out to her. Ladies and gentlemen, a Lizaf taco, or burrito. Just bite into it. Sophie did as I instructed and took a big bite out of the burrito. She chewed on it for a bit and then swallowed. Not bad. Great. Can I have some too? Yes. Having gotten my mistress's permission, I helped myself to my own burrito. The crunchy cabbage and purple onion had a good texture. The marinated lizard meat wasn't bad either. It probably could have been used a little extra seasoning. I brought some paprika and mustard from the kitchen. She took the paprika and added it to hers too. She must have felt the flavor was a bit lacking as well. Well, I think I did okay. I'd say it's pretty good for a first attempt, I said. Yeah, it's not bad. Maybe we could wrap this in leaves and bring it along to eat later when we're out. It might still be okay if I make it in the morning and then we have it for lunch. I'd be afraid of food poisoning if we ate it any later than that. True, what if we put it into this inventory of yours? I'm not sure. I guess I could test to see whether food goes bad in my inventory. I probably should have left a piece of the raw meat to try it with. Yeah, well, the rest of it should keep for several days if we salt it. As we chatted about my inventory, I wrapped Sophie's burritos. I was her slave after all. This was the least I could do for her since she was letting me live here. Well, that wasn't a bad meal. I'm going to go out for a bit, so you stay here in the house. I don't have to tell you any rules since you're not a child, right? Yeah, don't worry about me. I'll stay put. She pointed out the bathroom to me, so I had no worries there. I had no idea what errand Sophie was going to run, but she told me that we would be going hunting together tomorrow, so I doubted she was going to be busy arranging my execution. I planned to spend my time alone testing stuff with my inventory and the crafting menu. I was grateful for the little reprieve. Okay, I know this is a bit short, but I'm going to end this one off here. I still need to get a shower, because I just got called into work a bit earlier than I was supposed to. Just like an hour earlier. And, yeah. I will see you guys in the next video.